Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. NFL Sunday action. The St. Louis Rams, fresh off that big upset of the Denver Broncos, head out west to play the San Diego Superchargers. Hasn't been anything too super about these Chargers over the last month, Brian. They lost 3 in a row, went into the bye week, and we always talk about teams that go into the bye on a bad note. The bye is the best thing that can happen. You know, get everything fixed, come out. You want to back that team. And then they went against an Oakland team, and they struggled to win. Now, there is a flip side to that game that we always talk about, too. When a team doesn't have a win, you don't like going against them later in the season against the point spread. So kind of the two different angles knocked each other out if you were looking at that game. So the Raiders did do what they do best. They lost again, but they were able to get the money against San Diego. And for me, being a guy looking for value, looking for public perception, people are going to look and say, I don't want any part of the Chargers. They suck. They barely got by the Raiders. And here's St. Louis off that Denver win.
Actually, teams coming off of playing the Raiders don't have a good spread record because a lot of people think that they're pretty good because they beat up on the Raiders, and then they're overvalued the next week. But I will say, you made a reference to how winless teams, second half of the season, winless teams on the road in the road underdog role are really good, and that was the situation last week with Oakland. I liked the San Diego situation last week, but to me it was just too many points, and as you watched the game, it was obvious that that was the case. Oakland's one of those teams, you know, they haven't won a game yet, but they continue to give a good effort each and every week. And there's plenty of teams that have won games that don't do the same thing.
Absolutely, and we saw a couple of those teams in primetime games a week ago who didn't put up an effort. Yep. But I look at San Diego, and I really think this is a great spot for them. St. Louis coming off the big win against Denver. I mean, that was huge. As we said in the other video, flavor of the week team in Denver for most of the season has been that flavor of the week. We've had some new guys, you know, pop their head and look in the window and say, hey, I'm here, and then they stub their toe and they go to the back of the pack.
Talking about my Browns again, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, hey, I told you they'd be flat after that big win on Thursday night last week. Thank you. But this is a situation with the Chargers. They were one of those teams early in the season that people were talking as a dark horse when they started the season well, and then they hit that 3-week stretch. But let's look at that 3-week stretch, Brian. That was a murderous 3-week schedule that they had. They played Kansas City at home, and I believe Kansas City was coming off their bye week when they faced San Diego. And San Diego in that game had 4 days later the Denver Broncos on Thursday Night Football. So bad spot all around for San Diego there. They go to Denver, and they lose a game, a couple questionable calls, but that was a game, I remember it well, because I had the under in that game. Remember when it was 0-0 at the end of the first quarter?
Was that a primetime game?
It was a primetime game on Thursday night. Yeah. And, you know, I was patting myself on the back with, you know, all these primetime overs. I finally step in, take an under. Nothing, 52, and I even got a great number on that one. I had grabbed a 52 when it was 51 everywhere else, you know, sitting pretty.
You must be pretty flexible for a fat guy.
I am.
He's patting himself on the back, come on.
But the situation here, then after that game, they had to go to Miami. So they played back-to-back road games, and if you look right now, who are the 3 of the best teams playing football right now? It's Denver, Kansas City, and Miami. Now, Denver stubbed their toe last week, but
last couple of weeks.
Yeah. So yeah, the Denver going into New England, but this is a situation where I just think that San Diego's too undervalued at this point. I think now they're the side. It's down too low.
Yeah, I liked San Diego coming into the season. I played them over season wins. They started the season very well. Quarterback play was excellent. I mean, he's setting records. But they had some injuries, and as you pointed out, they ran into a tougher schedule. And now you're getting them coming off that Oakland, because I looked at that game and I said, man, you would really expect them to play better in that game, and they did not. So there's going to be a lot of people that will not want to play the Chargers here when, as we've seen for years and years, when nobody else wants them, that's when you want to take them.
That's when we want them. And we talked about one of the things I think, that hurt Rivers when he lost Matthews, the running back. They got him back last week. He rushed for 70 yards last week. You got to expect him to be better this week. Second week back generally, be a little bit better, get his rhythm back again. I like San Diego here. I think they're in a great spot.
And I wouldn't be too concerned about San Diego not getting a lot of rushing yards, because even when they were winning, they weren't doing it. They were doing it on the short passing game, and that's how they'd opened up the running game.
All right. I'm going to go with the San Diego Superchargers. I think they get it done. I got them winning this one by 11. I got them 31-20. I think that offense gets into gear this week. In St. Louis, I just don't see them matching the intensity they had last week. So we're going to go ahead and take San Diego. Want to tell you guys, check out Executive Sports on Sunday. He's got a rare 5% play in the NFL. It's his insider game of the year. And I say rare, he's only had 5% the entire NFL season, and that play happened to be the Miami Dolphins when they blew out San Diego 37-0. You want to check this one out, head over to wagertalk.com. Also, special offer, new guys to the site. After you make your first purchase of $12 or more, if you send an email to support, just send it support@wagertalk.com. We'll put a bonus $50 in your account for you to spend any way you want on the site. That's just our thank you for coming on board, wagertalk.com. All right, we've got one more football game left. It's Monday Night Football, Baltimore at New Orleans. That's going to be Brian's free play. Up next, wagertalk.com.